covering the Sibylline Oracles, Book 3, verses, lines 545
through 829.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But it's
a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. So most of this stuff it's going to be a whole bunch of woes.
Whoa!
Yeah, right. But then we're going to have some signs of the end, an eschatological kingdom, and then a conclusion to this one, because so whatever translation I was using online to set up the show, because I didn't have this book on me, it had verses go through like verse 1000.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it set up in like a little bit differently. But since we're using this version on the show, this book ends at 829. So we just decided we're gonna finish this book. So then next week we can start book 4.
Yeah. Book 4 of what? There's like 12 of them?
Oh my God. I don't even remember how many there are. There is certainly a good amount though. Let's see. Then there's a bunch of fragments as well.
Nice.
But let's see, looks like 14 books. Man, that's kind of wild.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Don't you love 14 books? It's like reading a whole New Testament.
Yeah, it is. Very close, except the New Testament is much longer than these books.
Slightly.
It means 27 books in the New Testament.
Yeah.
And
well, it's like a half testament.
A half testament. There you go. So yeah, it looks like some of these fragments are part of a lost book too.
Ooh.
And also belong in the third Sibylline Oracle.
Which is probably why that other version went through 1,000.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yep.
So I guess we'll cover those separately.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess we'll see when we get there, right? Before we start another book. So, I mean, it's going to be a while.
I mean, we'll cover
books.
them.
Yeah. Either way.
It would be like a huge letdown for us to go all the way through all of these and then just be like, nah, we're not going to do the last bit.
No, yeah, we probably should do the last bit. Yeah, how long are these actual fragments?
Well, they're fragmentary.
Yeah. Let's see. Not very. There are 8 fragments, and one of them is just the words "uncreated God."
Wow. And we'll note those as Sib or Fra 1.
I guess we could. Man, that'd be kind of sad.
That hurts.
It'd be a very, very short stream, that one. Either way, yeah. How about we start off today's reading with an exhortation to the Greeks?
Yeah.
This part right here. Yeah.
Hand that to me, because I'm going to be reading out of the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, edited by James H. Charlesworth. This is Volume 1, Apocalyptic Literature and Testaments, with this section by J. Collins. I was going to say J. Jonah Jameson.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. Exhortation to Spider-Man! No, exhortation to the Greeks. All right. Greece. Why do you rely on mortal leaders who are not able to flee the end of death? Yeah, these guys just die. Come on. To what purpose?
Yeah, our leaders are all immortal.
Yeah, of course. To what purpose do you give vain gifts to the dead and sacrifice to idols? Who put error in your heart that you should abandon the face of the great God and do these things? Revere the name of the one who has begotten all, and do not forget it. It is 1,000 years and 500 more since the overbearing kings of the Greeks reigned, who began the first evils for mortals, setting up many idols of dead gods. I assume that what they're referring to here is like Titan and Gaia.
Yeah, it would probably be the ones that they were referring to earlier in the book.
Mm-hmm. And when they refer to dead gods, That is interesting because they've had like the great God, Yahweh, as the immortal God.
The living God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've referred to it as the immortal God in the third Sybil.
Sure.
Right? So, like these other gods, it doesn't deny that they're gods. They're just not immortal. And they're dead.
Yeah. They are like, why would you worship those gods?
Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah.
What are you going to get from worshiping dead gods?
A jack shit. That's what you're going to get.
Exactly.
You could win this Dead Gods t-shirt. I worshiped a dead god, and all I got was this stupid t-shirt.
We should
That's
make
not a bad one.
We should make that.
Yeah, that's not a bad one at all.
The Dead Gods t-shirt. Actually, Dead Gods would be a good band name.
Yeah, what? We're just like a party in D&D, like we're the dead gods.
Yeah. On account of them, you have been taught vain thinking. But when the wrath of the great God comes upon you, then indeed you will recognize the face of the great God. All the souls of men will groan mightily and stretch out their hands straight to broad heaven and begin to call on the great king as protector and seek who will be a deliverer from great wrath. But come and learn this and place it in your heart. How many woes there will be as the years circle on.
I suppose that they are going to answer that question,
Yes.
although it may seem rhetorical.
Yes. Greece also, by offering the holocausts of oxen and loud bellowing bulls, which she has sacrificed at the temple of the great God, will escape the din of war and panic and pestilence, and will again escape the yoke of slavery.
So I feel like while that may be a proper translation, I feel like he could have went about that better.
Somewhat unfortunate.
Yeah.
But the idea is that the Greeks are sacrificing to Yahweh, right?
A lot.
And by virtue of their holocausts of oxen that they're sacrificing, they are not going to face the same wrath as many of the nations. But the race of impious men will survive up to this point. Whenever this fated day comes to pass, you will certainly not sacrifice to God until everything happens. What God alone has planned will not go unfulfilled. A strong necessity will insist that everything be fulfilled.
Yeah. So until I guess they won't do this until the end times.
Mm-hmm.
Which I said, hey, lucky for us, we're getting to that part at the end of this book.
Woohoo! Now we're at the eulogy of the Jews. There will again be a sacred race of pious men who attend the councils and intention of the Most High, who fully honor the temple of the great God with drink offering and burnt offering and sacred hecatombs. A hecatomb is a sacrifice of 100 cattle. This is something that pops up in the Iliad, and it's just a Greek term for sacrificing 100 cattle.
Yeah, because, it's such a casual activity that we all need to know one word for such a thing.
Sacrifices of well-fed bulls, unblemished rams, and firstborn sheep, offering as holocausts fat flocks of lambs on a great altar in holy manner.
Now, of course, that would all fit with the rules that he set up for sacrificing in Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
And Leviticus, right, with it being clean and it has to be a clean animal, and I think it was like the firstborn lamb, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
And it had to be in the first year.
yeah.
Yep. And when they're referring to Holocausts, obviously they're talking about burning the animals alive,
Yes.
burning them alive.
Good old sacrifice.
Very humane. Sharing in the righteousness of the law of the Most High, they will inhabit cities and rich fields in prosperity, themselves exalted as prophets by the immortal, and bringing great joy to all mortals. For to them alone did the great God give wise counsel, and faith and excellent understanding in their breasts. They do not honor with empty deceits works of men, either gold or bronze or silver or ivory or wooden or stone or clay idols of dead gods, red-painted likenesses of beasts, such as mortals honor with empty-minded counsel. For on the contrary, at dawn they lift up holy arms toward heaven from their beds, always sanctifying their flesh with water, and they honor only the immortal who always rules, and then their parents. Yeah, had to add
that would also work with the Ten Commandments, right?
Mm-hmm. Greatly surpassing all men, they are mindful of holy wedlock, and they do not engage in impious intercourse with male children, as do Phoenicians, Egyptians, and Romans, spacious Greece, and many nations of others, Persians and Galatians, and all Asia, transgressing the holy law of immortal God, which they transgressed.
Huh.
So
okay.
They don't practice pederasty like the rest of the ancient world.
I suppose, yeah. And I think there was a good argument to be made about. Remember that verse in Leviticus where it's bad to be gay, right? Mm-hmm. There's a good argument to be made that it was probably originally referring to a specific familial relationship between someone and like a male child in the family. Mm-hmm. So it would have been more about incest, if anything, because it was like in a section where they were talking about which incestual relationships you can't have. So
right.
There was so I think that might actually lend some more credence to that.
Yes. Prophecy of judgment. Therefore, the immortal will inflict on all mortals disaster and famine and woes and groans and war and pestilence and lamentable ills, because they were not willing to piously honor the immortal begetter of all men, but honored idols made by hand, revering them, which mortals themselves will cast away, hiding them in clefts of rock through shame. Whenever the young seventh king of Egypt rules his own land, numbered from the dynasty of the Greeks, which the Macedonians, wonderful men, will found. So the youth of Philometor at the time when Antiochus Epiphanes invaded Egypt is emphasized in the classical accounts of the incident. So this may be a reference to that, but also young, or neos, was also an epithet of Horus.
Huh. Okay. I mean, the thing is, yeah, I guess it could be an epithet of Horus, but also that's just a regular Greek word for young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pops up everywhere.
A great king will come from Asia. A king from Asia was a traditional enemy of Egypt, e.g. the Hyksos, who were still remembered in Hellenic times, according to Josephus.
That would make sense, yeah.
The tradition was reinforced by the careers of Cambyses and Artaxerxes.
Artaxerxes?
Yeah, Artaxerxes the Third, and again by Antiochus Epiphanes. The present passage may be influenced by the relatively recent memory of Antiochus, but should be taken as a more general reference. So, a great king will come from Asia, a blazing eagle, who will cover the whole land with infantry and cavalry. He will cut up everything and fill everything with evils. He will overthrow the kingdom of Egypt. He will take out all its possessions and ride on the broad back of the sea. Then they will bend a white knee on the fertile ground to God, the great immortal king, but all handmade works will fall in a flame of fire.
Yeah, he doesn't like the fact that those things are handmade. Now, of course, usually that's meant as like a reference to like, idols being handmade, work of idle hands and all that. But yeah, I mean, all handmade things, I guess if you're replacing it with something better, that'd be nice.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's not like, God hates things that are handmade. like the temple was handmade.
Right.
So
it's more the idols that they're referring to.
Yeah.
Transformation of the earth. And then God will give great joy to men. For earth and trees and countless flocks of sheep will give to men the true fruit of wine, sweet honey, and white milk, and corn, which is best of all for mortals.
You know, I do like corn.
Corn is the best of all for all mortals.
I mean, you know, I was going to start eating more corn, but now that just convinced me that I must.
Mm-hmm. You have.
I was going to do it anyways. But
you know what? We also use corn for gasoline.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we use corn for
every food because of
high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
Corn really is the best of all.
It really is.
Wow.
Wonderful. All right. Appeal for conversion. But you, devious mortal, do not tarry in hesitation, but turn back converted and propitiate God. You.
Me.
Devious mortal. Sacrifice to God hundreds of bulls and firstborn lambs and goats at the recurring times. But propitiate him, the immortal God, so that he may have pity. For he alone is God and there is no other. Honor righteousness and oppress no one, for the immortal bids wretched mortals. But you.
Me again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guard against the wrath of the great God whenever the culmination of pestilence comes upon all mortals, and they are subdued and meet with terrible justice.
All right. I'll make sure to protect humans from the wrath of the great God
by sacrificing hundreds of bulls and firstborn lambs and goats.
Oh man, I'll try.
Do you have any idea how expensive this would be?
Very.
Yeah.
Or you'd need an obscene amount of bulls where that's a trivial amount of offspring to you somehow.
Yeah, but I don't think under any circumstance would I be like,
well, I have
that's a trivial amount.
Look, I have 3 million head of cattle.
Like, imagine that.
So I have enough.
No. Imagine that you're in the desert, right? First, you got to make sure that all these bulls have substantial amounts of water.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I got to make sure they're ritually clean too. Mm-hmm. No blemishes and all that.
Yeah. Oh, and they're all firstborns of that year.
Well, for the oxen it was different, right?
I don't remember.
They had different rules for the oxen, I think.
But also, you know how much cattle eat?
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
They eat a lot of acres.
They're pretty big.
How are you going to run into enough grass for them to graze to have like the many thousands of cattle that would be necessary for, like, you would have to be like insanely wealthy.
You would, yeah.
You would also
like
have
a nation.
Yeah, and
It'd have
you
to be a national endeavor.
It would be a national endeavor.
You would also have to have like many storehouses of grains and
I think it would be lots of people contributing lots of cattle.
Yeah.
It's
they would have to, yeah.
Yeah,
and they would just be for sacrifice.
Yes.
Just an absurd endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, Solomon, he kind of did that, right?
Yeah, but Solomon was a king's son, so
exactly.
he could afford just about anything.
Exactly, yeah. He had access to whatever he really wanted, honestly.
See, Solomon could just be like, yeah, I'm taxing this farm 10 cows.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Hey.
Not much of a sacrifice, but there you go. All right, I'm going to hand it off to you. It starts at eschatological woes. I'm going to hop to the restroom.
Eschatological woes. All right. Also, hey, I agree that we deserve more recognition and subscribers. Hey, could you do us a favor, Godfather? Could you pray for us, please? Yeah, now, I don't know if God would hear our prayers, but maybe you could. See if it works. Anyways.
Or you could publish an article about us because, you work for the New York Times or something. Yeah.
Yeah, on the off chance that someone that works for the New York Times is in our chat, yeah.
They like it. They like being in the chat. They don't just immediately leave.
That would be nice. All right, so eschatological woes. King will lay hold of king and take away territory. Peoples will ravage peoples, and potentates tribes. All elders will flee to another land. The land will have a change of men, and foreign rule will ravage all Greece and drain off the rich land of its wealth. And men will come face to face in strife among themselves because of gold and silver. This is very similar.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you. So this is very similar to, I think I've said this before, but this part is also kind of similar to Hesiod's Works and Days, where he's like, people will be put against other people, specifically like more of, more humble people. You could say, because he said potters against potters and stuff like that. Like you're competing for this stuff. And he delineates multiple kinds of strife, a good strife and a bad strife as well.
Oh my gosh, is this Enter the Potterverse?
No. I'm just talking about Hesiod. Anyways.
He has some works.
He does.
And days.
Yeah. And he has a whole theogony too.
Ugh.
We have to read Works and Days, but not theogony.
Yeah. Probably because Works and Days is a more influential work overall.
I mean, theogony is way cooler, though.
Look, there's what's cool, and then there's what's... So, like, in my ancient philosophy class, right, we were reading Plato, but we were reading, like, the trial and death of Socrates.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Whereas we could have been reading about fucking Atlantis.
That is also a good point, yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that?
That is a very good point. Could have been reading about Atlantis.
Could have been. And that would have been really cool.
Yeah. Love of gain will be shepherd of evils for cities. All will be unburied in a foreign country. Oh man, that's
super bad.
That's because oh man. So first of all, unburied, that's already bad in their culture.
In a foreign
but
country.
But now in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Wow, they hated that.
That's awful. That's among the worst things that you can do.
Kinda, yeah. Vultures and wild beasts of the earth will ravage the flesh of some. Indeed, when this is completed, the huge earth will consume the remains of the dead.
So somewhat Deuteronomy.
Yeah, a little bit.
The beasts and the birds feeding on flesh.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a bit in Ezekiel, Dem Bones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dim bones, that's right. The huge earth will consume the remains of the dead. It itself will be completely unsown and unplowed, wretched, proclaiming the curse of innumerable men. For many lengths of yearly recurring times, light shields, long shields, javelins, and diverse weapons, and not even wood will be cut from a thicket for the flame of the fire. Also, yes, there was a direct reference there to Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the shields and spears will not be cut.
Yeah.
So it's like the beating swords to plowshares thing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Somewhat. But more so because of the complete lack of human beings who exist. So you can't really have a war.
No
they're
one,
all dead.
No one can really do that, yeah. Now, next section, the Savior King. And then God will send a king from the sun. It's holy shit.
Oh, man. Was this Apollo?
No, i.e. an Egyptian king.
Oh.
Cross-reference the Potter's Oracle and the Rosetta Stone, it looks like. Or sorry, Potter's Oracle, column 2, Rosetta Stone, and it says etc. So I guess those are just examples of kings from the sun being a king from Egypt. And the introduction to Sibylline Oracle.
Potter's Oracle. Okay.
I mean, you can look for it while I read.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah. Oh, that section?
It's not super long. So let me just this starts off in the middle of something.
Okay.
So, the river will flow with enough water with sufficient with insufficient, so that the land will be inflamed, but against nature. For in the time of the Typhonians, they will say, wretched Egypt, you are wronged by terrible iniquities wrought against you. The sun will be darkened, not wishing to look upon the evil things in Egypt. The land will not welcome the sowing of the seed. These will be blasted by the wind, and the farmer did not sow on account of this, but tribute will be required of him. They are fighting in Egypt because of the lack of nourishment. What they till, another reaps and takes away. In this generation there will be war and murder, which will destroy brothers and husbands and wives. For these things will come to pass when the great god Hephaestus wishes to return to the city. And the girdle wearers, being Typhonians, will destroy themselves. Evil will be wrought. He will go on foot to the sea in wrath, and will trample on many of them because of their impiety. And out of Syria will come he who will be hateful to all men, and being he will come from Ethiopia and from the realms of the impious into Egypt, and he will be established in the city which will later be laid waste. And for 2 years are the month of Ammon, and he said, well, their children will be defeated, and the land will be unsettled, and not a few of those dwelling in Egypt will abandon their own land and go to a foreign place. Friends will murder friends. There will be weeping, and their ills will be worse than those of the others, and men will perish at each other's hands. 2 of their numbers will pass in the same place because of the one help. Much death will fall upon pregnant women. The girdle wearers, being Typhonians, are destroying, and then Agathos Daimon will abandon the city, being established, and will enter Memphis, and the foreign city which will be built will be emptied. And these things will take place at the conclusion of the evils, when the falling of the leaves occurs in the Egypt of the foreigners. The city of the girdle wearers, Typhonians, will be laid waste as in my furnace, because of the unlawful deeds which they executed in Egypt. The statues transferred there will return to Egypt. The city by the sea will become a drying place for fishermen, because Agathos Daimon and Cnephis will have gone to Memphis, so that some who pass through will say, this city in which every race of men dwelt was all nourishing. And then Egypt will increase, when for 55 years he is well disposed, the king of the dispenser of good, born of the sun, establishes by the great goddess Isis, is at hand, so that those surviving will pray for the resurrection of those who died before, in order that they might share in the good things. At the end of these things, trees will bear leaves, and the forsaken Nile will be filled with water. And the winter, having been stripped of its natural dress, will run its own cycle. And then the summer will take its course, and the winds shall be well ordered and gently diminished. For the time of the Typhonians, the sun was darkened, having shone forth on evil customs, and having exhibited the poverty of the girdle wearers, and Egypt, So that is the
Potter's Oracle.
Potter's Oracle. It does have a reference to one born of the sun that was put in place by ISIS.
Yeah.
Not the terrorist organization.
And then God will send a king from the sun who will stop the entire earth from evil war, killing some, imposing oaths of loyalty on others. And he will not do all these things by his private plans, but in obedience to the noble teachings of the great God. Now here's the final assault on the temple.
Ooh.
The temple of the great God will be laden with very beautiful wealth, gold, silver, and purple ornament. And earth will be productive, and sea full of good things. And kings will begin to be angry with each other, requiting evils with spirit. Envy is not good for wretched mortals. But again, the kings of the peoples will launch an attack together against this land, bringing doom upon themselves.
Doom!
For they will want to destroy the temple of the great God and most excellent men when they enter the land. The abominable kings, each one with his throne and faithless people, will set them up around the city. So, plans to destroy the temple.
Yeah.
Because of envy, I guess.
Yeah, because, the temple's so great.
Yeah, temple's so great.
We've heard all about how the temple's so great.
We have, yeah. It's just a shame that all those that the Babylonians destroyed all the gold.
Oh yeah, what wasn't? Oh wait, no,
Yeah,
that was Babylon. The Assyrians also had their assaults on
they
Israel.
Did. Yeah, but the Babylonians were the ones that
they took all the gold.
Yeah,
they plundered the temple for its booty,
and they probably because they destroyed a lot of stuff, right? Presumably also the Ark of the Covenant, which is why it just doesn't get brought up again.
yeah. The Ark of the Covenant was destroyed.
Yeah.
No mystery.
It doesn't say it specifically, but it's
it was made of gold. They destroyed all the gold.
Destroyed all the gold, or everything that was made of gold. So yeah. It was destroyed. Now, cosmic judgment is the next section.
Nice.
And God will speak with a great voice to the entire ignorant, empty-minded people, and judgment will come upon them from the great God, and will all perish at the hand of the immortal. Fiery swords will fall from heaven on the earth. Now we're getting kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, fiery swords from heaven?
Yeah.
That's great.
And the Ark of the Covenant isn't anywhere today. It was completely dismantled, and probably the gold was melted down and reused for other things.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Now, the statue of Yahweh, on the other hand, was probably just destroyed, right?
I think that the Ark of the Covenant was the statue of Yahweh.
You don't think that... Well, when they describe the Ark, they have a throne on it and cherubim around the throne. One would think that would be a resting place for a separate piece that is a statue.
Or, no, you could have a footstool or something.
You could have a footstool, yeah. But still, the way that they describe it, it sounds like a resting... it sounds like...
They even say that it has a footstool, or that it is a footstool.
Yeah. The way that they present it, it's like an altar that you put a statue on.
Sure, I guess.
Rather than being a statue itself.
Sure. So, I mean, for a fuller argument on that, I know I'm in the minority on that one, but for a fuller argument on the Ark being a statue of Yahweh or I guess a piece of the statue of Yahweh, you can read Thomas Romer's The Invention of God. I think it's a very good book, and he makes a very good case for it. But
that also would have been destroyed.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But here's something interesting, I think.
And yes, there is a lot of cool stuff under the Vatican. There's a bunch of manuscripts that none of these scholars are able to access because the Vatican hoards them and only lets people who are part of their cult look at them.
You know what's really upsetting? The fact that they kind of had the same issue when the Dead Sea Scrolls first were discovered. Yeah. It took so long for other scholars to get a look at them aside from this one group of people. Because it was it was basically Israel's. They had laid claim to the whole thing, so only their scholars could check them. And that's why the rollout of their publication was so slow. They just kind of kept it on the hook that way. It could have been done way earlier.
Yeah.
So while the Vatican does have a bunch of stuff, who does believe that they have the Ark of the Covenant? The Ethiopians.
Yeah, they do believe that.
Yeah, they should have read they should have read the Bible more closely.
They should have.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a mass murder event at the place where the Ark is supposedly kept, just within the past few years.
Really?
A bunch of people were killed and the place was stormed.
That fucking sucks.
At least I think it was that. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I get why,
How's Noam Chomsky doing?
I don't know. He's fine.
Yeah, that's right. There was that one time,
yeah.
So there was like I get the value of the Ark of the Covenant. Like if you had the Ark of the Covenant, that'd be something. But
it'd be made of gold, so it's literally valuable.
That too. Don't go killing people for it. Anyway, so fiery swords. Well,
yes,
he did.
Swords of revealing light.
Fiery swords will fall from heaven on the earth. Torches, great gleams will come shining into the midst of men. The all-bearing earth will be shaken in those days by the hand of the immortal. And the fish in the sea and all the wild beasts of the earth and innumerable tribes of birds, all the souls of men and all the sea will shudder before the face of the immortal, and there will be a terror. He will break the lofty summits of the mountains and the mounds of giants. And there seems to be a reference to this in First Enoch about either the mountains or the mountains of giants, or maybe he's just referencing the giants.
What part of First Enoch?
First Enoch 1:6. It also references Micah 1:4.
And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame.
Hey, well, there you go. And was Micah the last book or the second to last book?
I'm pretty
No, that
sure
was Malachi. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if you want to check on Micah, Micah 1:4, but yeah, there's that one. Yeah, so the summits of the mountains and the mountains of giants will be broken, and the dark abyss will appear to all. High ravines and lofty mountains will be full of corpses. Rocks will flow with blood, and every torrent will fill the plain. All well-constructed walls of hostile men will fall to the ground, because they knew neither the law nor the judgment of the great God. But with mindless spirit, you all launched an attack and raised spears against the sanctuary. So, yeah, you attack the sanctuary, you attack the temple of Yahweh, and what's going to happen? The fucking earth is going to get destroyed. Mountains will crumble. Plains of there's going to be rivers of blood, essentially, or lakes of blood even, and yeah, what else was fucking here? Rocks will of course bleed. That makes sense.
Happens.
And piles of corpses. A lot of death and destruction.
Are you guys talking about Elden Ring or something here?
What?
Dark Souls, Elden Ring, sounds like those kind of things.
Yeah, it's approaching that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obadiah. What part of Micah?
1:4.
1:4.
Yes.
The mountains will melt beneath him, and the valleys split apart like wax before the fire, like water rushing down a slope.
Sorry.
All right, then. So God will judge all men by war and sword and fire and torrential rain. There will also be brimstone from heaven and stone and much grievous hail. Death will come upon four-footed creatures. Then they will recognize the immortal God who judges these things. Wailing and tumult will spread throughout the boundless earth at the death of men. All the impious will bathe in blood. The earth itself will also drink of the blood of the dying. Wild beasts will be sated with flesh. God himself, the great eternal one, told me to prophesy all these things. These things will not go unfulfilled, nor is anything left unaccomplished that he so much as puts in mind, for the Spirit of God, which knows no falsehood, is throughout the world. Everything's going to get fucked up if they attack the temple.
Yep, which obviously happens multiple times, and then that doesn't happen. Temple was sacked, then it was sacked again.
And the
abomination of desolation.
Right, the abomination of desolation, and the earth is
still here.
The mountains are still, they're just kind of sitting there.
They didn't melt like wax.
They didn't melt like wax. They didn't just fall over. Rocks weren't bleeding.
Yeah, not a very powerful God.
No.
Can't make good on his promises.
This is unfortunate here.
What We all wanted the mountains to melt like wax.
That would be
and the rocks
something.
to bleed.
Yeah, I wanted.
I would love
a
to
pet
see
rock that was actually a rock that was a pet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it accidentally got like a
Watch
nick.
out. It
and-
bites.
Yeah, it bites and
Well, it
it
has to. How's it gonna live?
also bleeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the next section: the salvation of the elect. But the sons of the great God will all live peacefully around the temple, rejoicing in these things which the Creator, just judge and sole ruler, will give. For he alone will shield them, standing by them magnificently, as if he had a wall of blazing fire round about. They will be free from war in towns and country. No hand of evil war, but rather the immortal himself and the hand of the Holy One will be fighting for them. So everything's going to be just peachy for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then all islands and cities will say, how much the immortal loves those men, for everything fights on their side and helps them. Heaven, divinely driven sun and moon. But the all-bearing earth will be shaken in those days. They will bring forth from their mouths a delightful utterance in hymns. Come, let us all fall on the ground and entreat the immortal King, the great eternal God. So, okay, yeah, so these are still the people talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess now it's the people talking, not the other ones, not all the...
Right.
Or actually, hold up. Yeah, so are they talking about the people of the islands and cities?
I think so.
Yeah, that would make sense if they are. Let us send to the temple, since he alone is sovereign, and let us all ponder the law of the Most High God, who is most righteous of all throughout the earth. But we had wandered from the path of the immortal. With mindless spirit, we revered things made by hand, idols and statues of dead men.
Ugh,
Right?
disgusting.
Gross. The souls of faithful men will cry out as follows. Come, let us fall on our faces throughout the people of God, and let us delight with hymns, God the begetter, throughout our homes, gathering the weapons of enemies throughout all the land for 7 lengths of annually recurring times. Okay.
More work?
That's all right then. Annually recurring times.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, the holidays, the festivals, the things that are commanded for them to do.
Well, if it's annually recurring, then it has to be yearly, so 7 years.
Yeah.
Light shields and long shields, helmets, many diverse arms, a large number of bowls also, and an abundance of unjust weapons. For not even wood will be cut from a thicket for the flame of the fire. So it's
just weapons that are going to be burned.
I mean, the thing is, they're taking all the weapons that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After their complete destruction. Although I think I might hand the rest of this off to you.
Yeah.
This is hilariously another exhortation to the Greeks. So sorry, not sorry. Are you excited about that?
Yeah.
I guess I just finished the book now. Exhortation to the Greeks. But wretched Greece, desist from proud thoughts, entreat the great-hearted immortal, and take precautions. Do not send against this city your thoughtless people, which is not from the holy land of the Great One. Do not disturb Camarina, for it is better undisturbed. This is an old proverb quoted by Servius in his commentary on Virgil's Aeneid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a
do not
obscure
disturb Camarina, for it's better undisturbed. Do not disturb a leopard from its lair, lest evil befall you. But keep away from it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Fine. Do not have a proud, overbearing spirit in your breast, making ready for a hard contest. Serve the great God.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah,
What?
Chris.
What am I supposed to do?
It's-
Something about having a servant in
Specifically
my
says
breast?
don't have a hard spirit in your breast, right?
A proud, overbearing spirit in your breast.
Yeah, Chris.
And makes ready for a hard contest. Just serve the great God,
Yeah.
so that you might have a share in these things.
No.
Well, then
You're
Did you not just
listen?
hear all of the things about flaming swords falling from the sky and
Yeah.
the earth being torn apart and the mountains melting like wax?
Yeah, did you not hear any of that?
I'll
'Cause
believe it when I see it.
I don't think you want to deal
You
with
won't
that.
see it because you'll be one of the first to go.
Well,
There's going to be a flaming
I
sword
guess
that
then
just...
I'll just be one of the first to go, and I won't have to experience all that garbage. Hooray!
But you will experience it
God will make it slow
in
for
Hades.
Wow.
you. Also, yes.
Yeah.
In
I don't think I'm
Hades.
that bad.
No, you're not. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are, just that you serve God.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be one of those things that goes to that place in Shoal where everyone just gets forgotten forever. I was okay with that.
No. Different theology.
Yeah, it's a different one.
That's totally different.
Yeah.
No, you get the weeping and gnashing of teeth in the eternal hellfire.
I'll get
one.
used to it.
I don't think that you get used to it.
It's eternity.
Probably not.
You don't know how long that is.
It's pretty long.
Pretty long is a good answer, yeah.
They'll
Pretty
find.
long. How about insanely long?
They'll find new ways for you to not get used to it.
Here's the thing.
You're gonna have to
Eventually-
come up with new weeps and new gnashes every day.
Yep.
Eventually, we are going to have to cover the apocalypse of Peter. Now, in the apocalypse of Peter, he is going to he is basically going on a journey through heaven and hell. The heaven part is pretty boring. He basically just calls the angels hot, and then
Right.
the hell part is pretty interesting.
He's got to have some really weird tastes if he thinks that like a bunch of wings and eyes and weird circles is hot.
Yes, except in his theology, I guess they look more like angels the way we think of them.
Ugh.
So either way, but then in the hell part, he describes specific punishments for specific sins. So there's
kind of like Inferno.
yes, that's probably where Dante got a lot of his imagery from. So
Well, Dante read a lot of poetry, right? And I don't know if he got it specifically from that apocalypse, but he did like a lot of stuff in there is like jabs at other poets.
okay,
Right? So like he has like Greek pagan poets who like show up. He throws in like Ovid in one of the
Does he?
hells.
Okay.
Yeah.
so yeah, like if you're a liar, you will be hung by your tongue. They just have like a hook through your tongue, and you're just hanging there over like a river of fire.
That'd
And
suck.
if you are an adulterer, you get hung by, your genitals.
Ugh.
What about both?
So like if you're a thief, you get hung by your hand.
Oh, they do something with your hands. I forget, but like they have like specific things for each sin.
If you're a glutton, you get hung by your stomach.
I don't know. I don't remember that one, but stuff like that.
If you have a hook fetish, then you don't get hung.
Right. That's your hell. Yeah.
You're just put into a place with a whole bunch of blunt objects
Yeah,
that don't
Nothing
have any
that
spikes
could be a
on them.
hook.
Yeah, nothing that could be a hook.
Oh man, that
In
would
fact,
be a personal.
You're
offense.
sentenced to watch boxing for all eternity, where no one throws any hooks.
That's good. That's very good.
Okay, so the day of judgment. When indeed this fated day also reaches its consummation and the judgment of immortal God comes upon mortals, a great judgment and dominion will come upon men. For the all-bearing earth will give the most excellent, unlimited fruit to mortals, of grain, wine, and oil, and a delightful drink of sweet honey from heaven, trees, fruit of the top branches, and rich flocks and herds, and lambs of sheep, and kids of goats, and it will break forth sweet fountains of white milk. The cities will be full of good things, and the fields will be rich. And there will be no sword on earth or din of battle, and the earth will no longer be shaken, groaning deeply. There will be no longer war or drought on earth, no famine or hail damaging the fruits, but there will be great peace throughout the whole earth. King will be friend to king.
About time, after all that
of
strife.
the age. Yeah.
People arguing way too long.
Yeah. The immortal in starry heaven will put in effect a common law for men throughout the whole earth for all that is done among wretched mortals. For he himself alone is God, and there is no other, and he himself will burn with fire a race of grievous men. Now, this common law is a common Stoic notion. See for reference the last verse of Cleanthes' hymn to Zeus.
We don't have that here, but
No, we don't. Moral exhortation. But urge on your minds in your breasts and shun unlawful worship. Worship the living one. Avoid adultery and indiscriminate intercourse with males.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Whether you're male or female, you avoid this indiscriminate intercourse with males.
Oh.
Rear your own offspring and do not kill it.
Oh.
For the immortal is angry at whoever commits these sins. That's why you don't kill your own offspring.
So you can raise them.
No.
It says rear your own offspring.
It does say that. I don't know.
It says that.
Hold on.
It says
This
to
is also
do
Apocrypha,
that.
guys. So.
It says rear your own offspring and do not kill it. Why do you do that? Because the immortal is angry at whoever commits.
Gotcha.
This.
Okay.
Right. So you don't not kill it so that you can raise it. You don't kill it because God is angry if you kill it, and you raise it because God is angry if you don't.
Okay.
Yeah. The eschatological kingdom. Then, indeed, he will raise up a kingdom for all ages among men. He who once gave the holy law to the pious, to all of whom he promised to open the earth and the world and the gates of the blessed, and all joys and immortal intellect and eternal cheer. From every land they will bring incense and gifts to the house of the great God. There will be no other house among men, even for future generations to know, except the one which God gave to faithful men to honor. For mortals will invoke the Son of the great God. This verse must be regarded as a Christian interpolation.
That would make sense. I mean, there was a heavy hand with this when it came to Christianity. We can kind of see that when there's a description of Nero, for example. Like we covered it earlier, like the house of Beliar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was Beliar, the house of Sebastanoy. Yeah, that kind of thing. And I don't know if we got it yet, but do we get the reference to the maternal curse yet?
I'm not.
So I guess it'll come. Maybe it'll come up in a different book. But the maternal, when they reference the maternal curse, that is probably a reference to the fact that Nero killed his own mother.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. So there,
matricide.
Yeah, but there is a heavy hand with Christianity in this.
Mm-hmm. All the paths of the plain and rugged cliffs, lofty mountains, and wild waves of the sea will be easy to climb or sail in those days, for all peace will come upon the land of the good. Prophets of the great God will take away the sword, for they themselves are judges of men and righteous kings. The idea that prophets will rule in the kingdom at the end time is unusual. But see for reference the role assigned to prophets in 1 Maccabees 14:41.
No, we don't have 1 Maccabees.
In Vita Mos 2:1.
Oh, yep. That's Life of Adam and Eve.
Yep.
Yeah.
Philo says that Moses is both a prophet and a king. Hasmonean King John Hyrcanus is also said to have the gift of prophecy in Josephus' Antiquities of the Jews.
Okay. We have that.
Antiquities of the Jews, 13:10:7.
Okay, 13:10:7. You got it, buddy. I'll pull it up.
There will also be just wealth among men, for this is the judgment and dominion of the great God. Rejoice, maiden, and be glad, for to you the one who created heaven and earth has given the joy of the age. He will dwell in you. You will have immortal light. Wolves and lambs will eat grass together in the mountains.
Yeah, here it is. So, but when Hyrcanus had put an end to this sedition, he after that lived happily and administered the government in the best manner for 31 years, and then died, leaving behind him 5 sons. He was esteemed by God worthy of 3 privileges: the government of his nation, the dignity of the high priesthood, and prophecy. For God was with him and enabled him to know futures and to foretell this in particular, that as his 2 eldest sons he foretold that they would not long continue in the government of public affairs, whose unhappy catastrophe will be worth our description, that we may thence learn how very much they were inferior to their father's happiness.
Mm-hmm. Wolves and lambs will eat together in the mountains, eat grass together. Leopards will feed together with kids. Roving bears will spend the night with calves. They'll spend the night.
Let's go.
Yep. The flesh-eating lion will eat husks at the manger, like an ox, and mere infant children will lead them with ropes. For he will make the beasts on earth harmless. Serpents and asps will sleep with babies and will not harm them, for the hand of God will be upon them. The signs of the end. I will tell you a very clear sign, so that you may know when the end of all things comes to pass on earth.
Okay, good. I'm excited. Very clear sign. Give it to me.
When swords are seen at night in starry heaven toward evening and toward dawn, and again dust is brought forth from heaven upon the earth, and all the light of the sun is eclipsed in the middle from heaven, and the rays of the moon appear and return to the earth. There will be a sign from the rocks with blood and drops of gore. You will see a battle of infantry and cavalry in the clouds, like a hunt of wild beasts.
Oh,
like a mist.
Okay, this, yeah, Landon, I'd love to know what they're describing here, but this reminds me of, was it Elisha? Which prophet was it that saw or was it, oh man, I forgot who it was. I covered this in my Heavenly Horseman video, but there was he saw, like it was really just him, like not everybody saw it, but he saw it. He saw that in the clouds there were a whole bunch of horsemen. If I don't remember which prophet it was that saw that, but there was like a whole bunch of them. So if anyone remembers who that guy was,
there are
it
references
is biblical.
here to 2 Maccabees 5:2.
That's one thing.
War. I assume this is
Jewish war.
wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6:5-3.
Okay.
And
Any biblical-
Tacitus's history. Don't we have
Tacitus? Do we? Oh, we have the okay. Was it Ezekiel? I don't think it was Ezekiel. No. There was we have this. We have Tacitus, the Annals of Imperial Rome. I don't know
That's
if
not
that's
the right one.
Yeah, it's not the same. No, it wasn't Ezekiel. It was God, was it? I don't remember. But
653.
653.
Of the Jewish wars.
Okay. So maybe it says it in here. Where's Jewish war? But yeah, I remember there specifically being a prophet who was given this vision of these, a whole bunch of heavenly horsemen. It may have been Ezekiel. I don't remember. But I do remember going over that. So anyways, you said Jewish war.
653.
653.
This is the end of war, which God who inhabits heaven is accomplishing, but all must sacrifice to the great king.
All right, so 6.
Yeah. So to summarize, these are the signs of the end times, right? Swords will be seen at night, toward evening, and toward dawn. Dust will be brought forth from the sky upon earth. The light of the sun will be eclipsed in the middle from heaven. The rays of the moon will appear and return to the earth. Rocks will bleed and drop with gore, and there will be a battle of infantry and cavalry in the clouds like a mist.
Okay, so so here's the citation from Josephus. Thus were the miserable people persuaded by these deceivers, and such as belied God himself, while they did not attend nor give credit to the signs that were so evident, and did so plainly foretell their future desolation. But like men infatuated without either eyes to see or minds to consider, did not regard the denunciations that God made to them. Thus there was a star resembling a sword, which stood over the city, and a comet that continued the whole year. Thus also before the Jews' rebellion, and before these commotions which preceded the war, when the people were come in great crowds to the feast of unleavened bread on the 8th day of the month Xanthicus, and at the 9th hour of the night, so great a light shone round the altar and the holy house that it appeared to be bright daytime, which light lasted for half an hour. So he goes on about this light for a while. It's a pretty big passage, honestly. But yeah, it does seem like obviously the light is one of these signs. I suppose the account of it would seem to be a fable were it not related by those that saw it, and were not the events that followed it of so considerable a nature as to deserve such signals. For before sun-setting, chariots and troops of soldiers in their armor were seen running among the clouds and surrounding of cities. So those seem to also be things that they will see. The eastern gate of the inner court temple, which was of brass and vastly heavy, and had been with difficulty shut by 20 men, and rested upon a basis armed with iron, and had bolts fastened very deep into the firm floor, which was there made of one entire stone, was seen to be opened of its own accord about the 6th hour of the night. Now those that kept watch in the temple came hereupon running to the captain of the temple, and told him of it, who then came up thither, and not without great difficulty was able to shut the gate. Door opening on its own is another sign there. Was when Elisha watched. No, that was one different part. There was during it was right when a battle was going to start. I remember that. Like a battle was about to actually start, or maybe it had already started, but then was it Isaiah? I don't remember. It may have been Isaiah.
We'll figure it out.
I'll check that, yeah.
But let me hop into the Sibyl's conclusion.
Okay.
I say these things to you, having left the long Babylonian walls of Assyria, frenzied, a fire set to Greece, prophesying the disclosures of God to all mortals, so that I prophesy divine riddles to men. There's a reference here. It's just a Greek term.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it was. Yeah, I don't think it was Isaiah.
Throughout Greece, mortals will say that I am of another country, a shameless one, born of Erythrae. So, born of Erythrae. Lactantius also identifies the Sybil of Sibylline Oracles 3 with the Erythraean Sybil. Some will say that I am Sibylla, born of Circe. Circe was the magic working goddess who changed Odysseus's men into swine in the Odyssey and the Aeneid. According to Virgil in the Aeneid, Deiphobe, the Cumaean Sibyl, was daughter of Glaucus. Nostos is enigmatic. Curfus amends to Agnostoio of an unknown father. Nikiproetsky gives the name as Gnostes, which may mean diviner or one who knows. Epiphanes says Gnostics attributed certain books to Neriah, the wife of Noah. In Sibylline Oracles 3:827, the Sybil is daughter-in-law of Noah. So we've gone over that before. So some will say that I am Sibylla born of Circe as mother and Nostos as father, a crazy liar. But when everything comes to pass, then you will remember me, and no longer will anyone say that I am crazy. I, who am a prophetess of the great God, for he did not reveal to me what he had revealed before to my parents, but what happened first, these things my father told me, and God put all of the future in my mind, so that I prophesy both future and former things and tell them to mortals. For when the world was deluged with waters, and a certain single approved man was left floating on the waters in a house of hewn wood with beasts and birds, so that the world might be filled again, I was his daughter-in-law, and I was of his blood. The first things happened to him, and all the latter things have been revealed. So let all these things from my mouth be accounted true.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what are you pointing at? Oh, man, I really, really wish I remember who that was. I remember covering it in the Horseman video. It's going to fucking annoy me for the rest of the day, I bet, unless I look it up. I'm going to have to like go back and watch that because I remember vividly talking about it.
In the book of Mandela.
I fucking swear. I'd be so mad.
Yeah. So that's the third Sybil.
Yeah, that is the third Sybil.
Final thoughts on the third Sybil.
Oh man, there was so much destruction.
Yeah.
Especially today's readings.
So I think this so far has been the most interesting Sybil. You've got like the Titans and Kronos and the Greek gods and the dead gods, and you've got like this whole eschatological thing. Very clear signs laid out for when the end times are supposed to come about. Very clear details on the eschatology. So I mean, it's probably even more clear than Revelation.
Yeah, I would say it is way clearer than Revelation.
Yeah.
Revelation's going to be a fun one to talk about because there's just so much.
And I like how the third Sybil ends, where it's like, people are going to say that I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. When you guys see this stuff happen, you're going to see it's not me who's crazy. It's everybody else who's crazy.
That's pretty good. That reminds me of the apocalypse of Cedroc.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So you know what? I'm hopefully this kind of good stuff continues in the other Sibyls. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure you drop a like if you haven't already. That really helps the channel. Any viewer engagement really helps the channel.
And comments. Comment your favorite Sybil.
No, hold on.
Comments.
No, don't comment your favorite Sybil. Comment. Hold up. We got this. So I wanted something kind of wild. Maybe something from the whole cosmic judgment kind of thing.
I prayed to dead gods and all I got was this t-shirt.
At least we'll remember.
Write something about the Holocaust of cattle.
No, do not. Absolutely do not do that.
Talking about that.
Write something about the mountains being destroyed. I don't know. He will break the lofty summits of the mountains and the mounds of giants. Dark abyss will appear to us. High ravines and lofty mountains will be full of corpses.
Write your favorite.
Rocks will flow with blood, and every torrent will fill the plain.
Write your favorite double entendre about mounds of giants.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what? Sure, why not? Right. Maybe write your favorite cosmic judgment.
Yeah.
Or entendre.
You know what? Just write something.
Thanks.
Well, we gotta start figuring these things out before the show.
They're gonna have
probably.
literal something.
Here's a pin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to support the stream, you could have Chris be a little more patient, right? But you can check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, we do stuff on Patreon. Landon can tell you the stuff that we do.
Yeah, but he's not here.
He's not here, but
he's in the comments. Yeah. But if you're on Patreon, you could be on our show.
You could get all of our video scripts, which
could be in our patron hangouts.
Yeah, our patron hangouts.
You could be entered into a t-shirt giveaway.
Yeah, $10 patrons or more all get entered into a monthly t-shirt giveaway.
Or you could just buy that t-shirt.
That too.
That one.
You could buy that.
That's a really expensive
that's
t-shirt.
that's a hoodie. Yeah, it's a hoodie.
That's still a somewhat expensive hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You guys should get it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably a nice hoodie.
Yeah, it's really more of like a status symbol when you have the $39 Milwaukee Atheist hoodie.
Yeah, honestly
right?
though. That's part of the reason I stopped releasing the hoodies, because in order for any profit to be made, they have to be pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it for the buyer, honestly.
I'm gonna just link this one every time then. All right.
What?
Yeah, let's get Lawrence the most money.
Hey, listen, just you can go on the Teespring and buy a shirt that you like. All that stuff helps us.
But hey, we also have an Amazon wish list.
We do. Link is in the description for that one. Although I kind of wish Nightbot was doing its job.
Nightbot has been sleeping on the job here.
Finicky.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we have an Amazon wish list with lots of books on it. And you could add books to this table. You could add books to our libraries, and we will use them to make videos. But yeah, as far as scripts go, I am currently writing the Suffering Servant script.
You just started writing the script?
First of all, there was a lot of research on that, and
Okay.
the question that there's always another question that I had to answer, like, where did this vicarious suffering come from? Because I could find every other motif and the origin for every other motif, but then I'm like, where was vicarious suffering? Like, it wasn't real. It was hard to find something for that. And then the servant.
I don't believe in holy water.
Anyways,
I have some holy water.
Yeah, but I don't believe in it. I think it's just water.
It is just water.
Well, no, it's water.
It's been
that has
right. It's
been
been blessed, right? But
Dippy.
it deals like 1d8 of damage to zombies. Okay.
Let's see. But yeah, and then I was mostly. I read a paper about the importance of the anonymity of the servant. Why was the servant anonymous? That was a question I didn't even explore. So I had to go back and check things for the importance of anonymity. So I am currently writing the script. There's a lot to cover. Translation issues is a big one, because most of people's different interpretations of who the servant is based on translation.
So this is going to be like a 5-hour-long Suffering Servant video.
It's going to be pretty long, not 5 hours.
It's going to be about as
48
long
minutes.
as my Quran video.
Probably around there, yeah, I would say. Realistically, maybe even longer. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is going to be definitely a long video, a lot of stuff to cover. But I think I did arrive at a conclusion that I think is the most likely of all the ones that I've seen. So that's going to be a big one there.
Yeah.
So you would, of course, be getting that script if you're a patron.
Yep.
Before the video comes out, obviously. You could just, I don't know, have that.
You could print it and bind it in a book.
You could do that, yeah.
You could print all of our scripts, bind them in a book, and then do readings of it every week.
Including the scripts to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have
use
fun with
the auto-generated closed captions.
That would be horrible.
Just print them off.
It would be so bad. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us. We hope you
will
enjoyed the
see
stream.
you on
Do all
Sunday.
this stuff, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Sunday.
Track.